Boom.
Yo, what's up,
What's
dude?
good? What's going on? First off, I'm really not happy that you changed your pick. So
Yeah,
that really chaps my ass a little bit. For those of you guys that watch the show, Kenny just switched his pick from Rafael Assunção to copying me and doing Cody Garbrandt by decision. I think you made the right choice. But now you're questioning. I'll be honest. I'm thinking about switching over from Kelleher to Stamen because taking Casseras as an underdog, if I miss on both of those, now I'm playing from behind because I was pretty confident in Cody.
right. Um, yeah, listen, here's the thing. You can never doubt Cody as far as being the better fighter, whoever he goes against. The question is, how is his mind? How has, he prepared for a fight? Does he know to kind of not let his emotions take over? I think at this point, he's got to learn from his mistakes, I would think. It seems like he's saying all the right things. It seems like he's extremely focused. And I, it's always good to hear a fighter be super honest. And he's been talking about how maybe his mind wasn't always right before fights, that his focus was on other things. He truly believes that, he, this is the best thing that he can do, or he's the best, he can be the best in the world again and his focus has to be 100% on the fight game. So I like the sound of that. I think he's going to be ready. Rafael Sunsao is still going to be a tough out. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about that. I think a Sunsao is still hungry, but I do think that he'll be a little bit more conservative in his approach, try to outpoint them. If there is an opportunity to take them out, I wouldn't be surprised to see Cody get a win by a TKO or something. But
Yeah.
I think he should take this, and I think it should be probably a hard fought decision against the Sunsao.
And a Sunsao doesn't really do well against faster guys. And a Sunsao never really engages in a brawl. So I think even if Cody were to engage in a brawl, a Sunsao is almost too smart to get into that as well.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of my thing. And you brought up a good point with Cody's takedown defense. Everyone kind of forgets how good of a wrestler he is also. A lot of those fights that he won with Almeida and then obviously Cruz, he's able to keep the fight on the feet and not kind of fight like an asshole. I hate to say it that way, but against Pedro, that was really the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
Oh, our boy Johnny's on here.
Yes.
There he is. All right. So outside of that, and I know we spoke about this on text. I kind of want to hit this. Neil Magny, Rocco Martin, right?
Yep.
Magny earlier in the week was as high as minus 165, now minus 135. I'm a little thrown off on the price drop. I thought he would have been minus 190 by the time that all happened. What do you, I mean, I'm a little confused here. I mean, listen, I think Rocco's a good fighter. But I thought what Magny did in his last fight against the Leech was, an incredible way to come back, no?
Yeah. No, it was. I think Magny has a tremendous amount of experience. I think Anthony Rocco Martin is one of those guys, though, also that likes to get in your face. He's good at grinding out rounds. He's not an easy guy to put away. He probably is the better guy on the ground. He's aggressive. He's going to be in Magny's face. I just think that if Magny's on his game and he gets on his bike and utilizes that long reach, gets that jab flowing early, I think, Martin's probably going to be struggling out there a little bit. But who knows? If he hits a takedown or two, starts landing some shots, if he's able to get on the inside of that jab, start landing maybe some leg kicks, it could get interesting. I don't think Anthony's going to be an easy fight for Magny,
Right.
but I do think Magny should get the win here. But who knows? It's funny on fight night. Things can change real quickly with how people either feed off the crowd or the lack of the crowd. Any injuries going into that fight. We haven't heard anything in that regard. Maybe they're hearing something as far as an injury on one side or the other. I don't know.
It's either that or just everyone kind of it's a hard fight. Listen, in my mind, on a betting standpoint, I think you're getting tremendous value at Neil Magny at minus 135 right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Rocco's tough though. Listen, he's good at subs. We saw the fight against Damian. He didn't, he was able to hold his own there, but he also sometimes a little bit hesitant and he kind of gets into that mindset of sticking the tongue out, wanting to brawl a little bit. I just think Neil is one of the smartest guys out there, and you never see him change. He never fights emotionally. He never gets off his own game plan. That's the thing. And that last fight against the Leech was impressive. All right. Yeah. Another one, obviously we've gone back and forth on this. Sanhagen, Aljo. I'm not betting this fight. I'm staying true to that. Aljo's a friend of mine, but I still think this is probably one of the closer, I want to say, title contender fights. Obviously you saw that Dana mentioned the winner of this is getting a title shot, which leads me to believe that Jan versus Aldo is probably not going to happen. I guess Jan's going to wait. Has your vibe changed at all? I know you picked Corey, and I took Aljo in this.
Yeah.
Anything changed there?
Dude, it's a tough one, man. I know that Sanhagen also cuts a lot of weight. I think Aljo's a little bit more, probably a little bit closer around to his fighting weight, I would say. But Sanhagen's very tall, 5'11". But it looks like he's on point, man. He knows he's never been closer to a title fight at this point. If he beats Aljo, he could be next. I think Sanhagen's just his overall game, I think, is a little bit sharper, a little bit cleaner than Aljo's. Now, Aljo's fought some high-level competition. I also think Aljo is probably the stronger wrestler out there. But I just think overall, similar to a GSP, not to compare him that way, but the way that he's able to combine everything together makes him a really tough out. And I think Sanhagen is one of those guys that is probably one of the most underestimated fighters in the UFC, period. I really do. I think he's been flying under the radar for a long time. Aljo's an absolute beast, but I think Sanhagen can pull off a decision win here. It's not going to be easy, but I can easily see both of these guys, win or lose, fighting for a belt or perhaps even being a champion in this division.
Yeah, listen, when I watched Corey fight Assunção, that in my mind was a defining moment of a potential superstar of the division down the line. If you go back and watch this fight, I know a couple of guys on here are saying Sanhagen's the better striker. I kind of disagree a little bit. I'm not saying that he's not the better striker. I just think it's a lot closer that people are gonna really look at. If you look at Aljo's striking, I think my voice just cracked. I don't know what the fuck that was, but
still going through puberty, man. Still going through puberty.
It's about time. It's taking forever. It's just, if you watch Aljo's evolution of the striking, I think his epiphany moment was the Jimmy Rivera fight. Where he didn't rush in. He was really using his leg kicks. His combinations looked great. And then when he fought Pedro, we saw a different side of him. We saw the aggressive Aljo in the striking department that we never saw. We saw a guy that kind of threw caution to the wind a little bit more than usual,
Yep.
And that was something good to see because people have continually questioned Aljo's finishing ability or he fights too conservative. And I just kind of, in my mind, thought he put it all together in that Rivera fight and then bled into the fight with Pedro. With Corey, he put himself in some questionable positions with Assunção on the ground, which I thought was a little him just being way too confident in his skills.
Yeah.
However, what impressed me more, though, is how he got out of that and regained position like it was nothing, effortless.
Right.
I think Aljo will be the physically stronger of the two, especially with wrestling. I think where Sanhagen could fall a little behind here is potentially if he is too content with fighting off his back. Sometimes I know you see this with jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, look, Billy Q last week was a little too comfortable on his back in certain situations. Right. But then when he turned it a little bit, that's when I think why he got the nod on the scorecard. So, I mean, I don't know if we've seen, though, a close enough matched up fight this close to a title in any division in a really long time, which is
this is my favorite fight on the card, to be honest. I even like this more for whatever reason. It's more intriguing to me than Assunção and Garbrandt.
100%.
I really believe that. So, I think you're right. Listen, Aljo, if you look at his individual striking skills, you're like, I don't know. He's not your traditional striker. But that's what makes him so unique. He's very unorthodox, and it throws a lot of people off the way that he moves. It's just a different kind of rhythm. But I think it really works for him. He's made it work for his own style. It's very unique. He's also a very difficult guy to prepare for. So, yeah, man, this really is anyone's fight. It's a tough one to call. Not that I'm a big gambler or anything like that. But, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't touch this fight with a 10-foot pole as far as putting money down.
The only thing I will say is if you had to put a gun to my head, which I hope no one wants to do that, but, if you want to really bet on this, I do feel that over 2.5 rounds, I do see this fight going to a decision. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Cody is just not only
he's firing away over
he's
here.
going to kick me in the nuts, but he also said that both Serra and Longo aren't going to be in his corner. So I knew
Correct.
that Longo wasn't going to be there. So I didn't know that Matt wasn't going to be there either. But that's going to be interesting. Not to say, a corner is going to, that's going to be the determining factor whether he wins or loses a fight, but it definitely helps. And that's an interesting thing. Having a new corner for the first time, having guys that you absolutely rely on for all those years that are always going to be there, and not having them there, it's just a different vibe that could throw you off. So I'm interested to see how that plays out for Aljo as well. That also, to me, was kind of another reason why I kind of went the route of Corey there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, here's the one thing, though, right? I think Corey also, though, doesn't have the same corner that he usually has. I know he mentioned that on the show.
Yeah.
The one piece that Aljo will have there, though, is Al Iaquinta, who's been in his corner for every single fight with Ray and Matt. And obviously, Al's been to the dance. He's got Marab there. He's got a very interesting personality team-wise there, which is kind of fun. Yeah, listen, look, you know it better than anyone. When you have your same team for so long, and especially guys as influential as Ray and Matt, there's no doubt it's going to be different. But knowing them, they've been on the phone, FaceTiming, Skyping probably. Well, maybe not Ray with Skyping, but at least on the phone, every day. Yeah. Aljo, you doing this with Marab? He's Cody's been begging me to do the impression, so I have to. So I like that. And then, so we'll move on to the next one. I know this is people. So I've been getting DM'd a lot this week about Casseras versus Hooper. And I felt like that was one of the harder ones that you and I had to pick. Mm-hmm. Have you considered changing your pick at all this week, or have you gotten a different vibe, seen these guys at weigh-ins, anything of that nature?
Not really. I think Chase Hooper is maturing. I think for his age, he's still pretty mature. I think that he's very focused still. I do think that people are writing off Casseras. He has a lot of experience. But I think Casseras' weakness on the ground has kind of been a persistent problem in his game that he really hasn't fixed and addressed as much as I would have liked. I think that's where, if you're looking at fighting Casseras, yes, he's, a good striker. He's not the best striker or anything like that. But when you look at his game, you look at his weakness, his ground game is always going to be there as one of the things that a lot of guys try to expose. I think Hooper's going to be trying to do that same thing. And I think Hooper's ability to kind of mix things up and then eventually hit some takedowns, I think is going to be the difference in this one yet again.
It's interesting. So I went and watched Hooper against Tamer, and then I went and watched Hooper in his fight before the UFC. Here's the only thing that I find interesting. He does not really he doesn't really have good wrestling entries into his takedowns.
No, it's not the best. He shoots from a little far away, and he doesn't look so comfortable. Yeah.
And, he kind of seems like a guy, and again, I always defer, as much as I have a jiu-jitsu background, I always defer, obviously, to you.
Yeah.
He is very content with rolling to his back, grabbing the legs, going for those hooks, and Casseras has just been around and fought a lot of tough guys. And my concern for someone like Hooper this early in the game is not that Casseras is like, obviously the gatekeeper, but this kid's 20 years old, and he almost got submitted by Daniel Tamer, who I don't know if that guy has submitted anybody ever.
No, he's
and that came close.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. Like
exactly.
Him and his brother are kickboxers, and that guillotine. I mean, we're talking about Hooper who almost dislocated his fucking neck to get out of that. And I don't see Hooper as a physically strong guy. I don't see him his striking, on a UFC level yet. However, he's extremely intelligent, and if he's smart, he'll find a way to put Casseras on his back quick. Because if not, you're right. Casseras may not be the best striker, but again, you talk about a guy who's unorthodox, cardio for days, fast, will mix up his
experience.
Kicks. Yeah. Experience. I think for Hooper, this has to be a clinch, get on the back, and go from there. I'm very interested to see. I think it's a great test for him. I really do think we always talk about building these guys up. It's almost like the perfect guy to put him against. It's kind of,
I agree.
And then that
and it's so hard when you get guys like early in their career to kind of see how much better they get camp to camp and what they're doing. It really is like throwing the dice, because some guys, are ready for it, but a lot of guys aren't. And also maybe they bite off a little bit more than they could chew. Casseras is a very experienced dude, man. So I'm curious to see how this goes down. I'm not 100% on Hooper, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, someone just asked when you're making your comeback to the octagon.
I just turned 44. I'm good. Maybe some jiu-jitsu competitions, but that's about it.
Listen, Kenny and I will be having our super jiu-jitsu grappling match when this pandemic's done and we can get Kenny to
exactly.
Florida. He'll stay with me. He'll stay with John. And we're only going to show this on film if I don't get subbed in the first minute. I'm going to be fucking
Manscaped.
Sponsored by Manscaped. I'm going to be sprinting around that cage worse than Caleb Starr. I'm going to fucking run away from you. All right, so let's if you got a couple more minutes, let's dive into I know someone else asked who you think the fight of the night will be, because someone just asked about Sugar Sean O'Malley. You know, we both talked about this. Very tough fight in Eddie Wineland, but I think he's got the skills to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, and then I mean, Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. You know, a lot more people are taking flyers on Spencer here than I thought, and I'm a little confused by that, to be honest. I mean, what's your take?
Listen, I think that people were a little disappointed in Nunes' performance against GDR in that, you know, she had Durandamy on the ground. Many times she's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Durandamy really only known for her kickboxing, right? I mean, we thought that if she got her down, that the fight would be over pretty quickly, either by TKO or by submission. And Nunes just didn't look so clean on the ground for whatever reason. And first of all, kudos to Durandamy and her toughness. But, you know, taking those up kicks, man, I'm just like pulling my hair out. I'm like, Nunes, what are you doing? You're going to get up kicked. You keep, you know, what do you do? So she was just, you know, lowering her head down. She was really susceptible to that. So I think people are probably still thinking that, you know, hey, maybe Spencer is kind of primed for the win here. We've seen champions in the past lose their, perhaps their hunger or their passion for the game, and they lose. You know, we've seen it with so many different people. You know, Rousey perhaps being the most famous of that example. You know, with Connor, with maybe Woodley, all those things where if your head is not in the game, and again, with you being a champion for a little bit, where people have the opportunity to go out there and fight you, and there's more videotape on you, you become more susceptible to getting defeated if you're not always in the gym working on your skills. So I think Spencer's a gamer. I think she's one of those girls that are going to be in your face. She's not going to be intimidated. She's shown her toughness. She's tough in the clinch. She's going to get her up against the cage. There's going to be some tough moments for Nunes, but I think Nunes is going to win this fight. It seems like she's still very focused. You know, in talking to some people about it, they said, listen, ATT has her really dialed in. She's super focused. She definitely understands what this fight means. She respects Felicia Spencer. So, you know, hearing that, I think all signs are still pointing to Nunes retaining that belt.
I think what happens also, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, when you see a champion as dominant as Nunes and you have a name like Felicia Spencer that's not a household name, people tend to get behind that underdog story, sometimes a little too much. You know, I think Felicia Spencer, to your point, great description, gamer, 100%. The fight against Cyborg, fucking tough as nails.
Yep.
However, I think she is getting a title shot as a product of the lack of depth in this division, you know? And if you go look outside of Megan Anderson, who she's defeated, I don't even remember the names. I hate to say it. And these are people that are being forced into the UFC who probably aren't ready, because I'm glad the UFC wants to get behind the division, but it's like, you know, to me, would Felicia Spencer beat anyone that Nunes has beaten in her last 8 fights? I just don't think so. You know, unless Felicia gets this fight to the ground and gets a man on her back early when she's still dry and not wet. You know, I don't want to say wet. Bad word to use when two women fight and say wet.
Sweaty, sweaty.
When it's slippery, sweaty. There you go. There you go. I just don't see Nunes. I mean, striking-wise, I feel like Felicia's nowhere near Amanda. Listen, we're talking about the GOAT of the women, possibly even the GOAT in general, you know? And I just think Nunes does this. I think in her fight against GDR, I just think maybe that was the first time she was just too confident in her ability on the ground, felt that there was no danger.
I have a random question. First of all, I love Nunes. I think she's amazing. She's one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. But wasn't there something that Dana said or the UFC said where you can't have 2 belts at the same time? How is she able to have these 2 belts for this long? That's what I want to know. They didn't let Cejudo do it for that long. They didn't let Connor. How is Nunes able to keep these 2 belts for long? Why is there these inconsistencies?
I'll tell you why.
I don't get it.
I got an answer. I may get shit on by some Connor fans here, because unlike Connor and unlike Cejudo, Nunes actually defends her belt multiple times in divisions. Like, here's the thing, right? If you go back and look, Nunes has defended and defended and defended, And the reason why this division, it's only, I think, her second defense, is because outside of Felicia Spencer, it's Megan Anderson is next, and she's on a 1-fight win streak, and she's like, I'm the champ, I'm ready. It's not a knock on Conor, but Conor doesn't fight very much. With Cejudo, I don't, with the shoulder surgery, I mean, listen, you know how it goes. The longer you stay away from the game, the harder it is to cut that weight to a much lower division. For him, making 135, he could do that. Make it 125 for Henry. It's not easy. So, and honestly, was there really any huge matchup money-wise for him at 125? Was he overly excited?
Yeah, probably not.
Conor never defended.
And Conor probably wasn't going to go down to 145 anyway, unless there was a big fight. So
I think him versus Max Holloway would have been a very sellable fight. But honestly, I really think. I mean, listen, Cejudo didn't defend the 25 belt, and Conor never defended 45, and Conor defended it once at 55 against Khabib. So. Someone just asked, is Formiga? I'm not going to throw the N in there this time.
You got it right. No, I agree. I think why are people sleeping on Formiga, man?
You know what? I don't think that they're sleeping. Here's the thing, right? I don't necessarily think they're sleeping on him. Stylistically, here's the deal. If he can't get this fight to the ground, Perez is one of the guys in that division that actually puts people into the shadow realm, as you describe it. Right. Formiga, his striking has become a little... He went from going to becoming a technical striker with unbelievable jiu-jitsu to becoming a little bit more of, I want to throw heavier and using jiu-jitsu to tire people out. Perez is just, his takedown defense has looked really good lately. I don't know. I thought this fight would have been more of a minus 110 each type of situation. Yeah. I'm a little surprised, but I think it's another guy you have in that division who's on the rise, knocking people out in the division you don't see too many knockouts in. Against Formiga, that you're not seeing too much of a change in his game. I mean, listen, he's been around for a while. I don't know how much more you're going to see out of him, but he could very well win. Listen, he could jump on this guy's back and ride that shit for 3 rounds.
Yeah. Listen, I honestly think he's pretty much better everywhere, but I don't know. I mean, interesting.
I don't think he's the most live dog if we're talking betting. He's only plus 110. I think the most live dog on the card is Casseras at plus 200 and change right now, whatever it is.
Wow. Okay.
In my opinion. Yeah, last time I checked, Hooper.
What other underdogs are looking good in your opinion?
Let's see. What other underdogs I mean, listen, Brian Kelleher at plus 200 is kind of interesting. He's fighting a guy who I think fights very similar to Hunter Azur, or Azur, however you pronounce his name. Yeah. You have another very strong wrestler who throws combinations but doesn't really finish fights. And Brian Kelleher.
And Stamen, dealing with the horrible loss of his brother. You don't know
so soon. It's really tough.
It's just what a heartbreaking story, man.
Terrible, and Brian's a good wrestler in his own right. I think if Stamen doesn't grind him out, I think he can get knocked out. That's a tough one. Let's see, Eddie Weiland's plus 400 and change right now, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. My bad. Someone just asked when BattleBots is coming back, by the way, if you want to.
We're going to be filming later this summer. I just got word, so I'm excited about that.
There you go. BattleBots is back, along with Titan Games.
Yes, exactly.
I'm trying to think if there's any other big underdogs on there. I mean, there's nothing too crazy. Casseras, Wineland, Kelleher.
Kelleher can crack, man. He's a beast.
So we forgot about this fight. I'm surprised John didn't toss this on the show. Evan Dunham versus Herbert Burns.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So, which is interesting is Burns is minus 200. I don't mind him being the favorite. I think that's a lot, though. Being that he was, that last fight against Nate. I mean, he had the flying knee, but we didn't see much. And Dunham's a smart guy. I mean, he's taking a lot of damage, so that's an interesting fight. Cody thinks I'm getting paid to push Wineland as an underdog. Dude, I got Sean O'Malley in a fucking parlay on my last leg. So here's what I will tell you. If I get to that last leg of the parlay, I will hedge with Eddie Wineland at plus 400 every day of the fucking week, twice on Sunday. 100%. But Alonzo Menfield versus Devin Clark is an interesting fight. So it's this is a crazy card. It's weird. You got a card like this, and then next week you got a card headlined by Jessica I and Cynthia Cavilla.
Oh, you're not excited about that? Come on.
Bro, what was the chant she
dude,
did?
The boys are coming over. It's going to be ridiculous, dude.
Let's go evil. Oof, oof. Whatever the fuck that. I don't mind that fight, but as a main event, oh, man, that's.
Yeah, it's a rough one, dude. It's a rough one. Hey, send me some of your parlays later after we get off the phone, will you?
Yeah, after you follow me on Instagram, you fucking got it. You know what? I will tell you, I almost decided to unfollow Ray because of his insane comments. But I sent him a text. I sent him a text the other day that I had a weed whacker and a lawnmower coming his way. And he was like, "Oh, dude, you know how it is in the gym because you were on the team. You should know we're all about ball busting. You know, I love you, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "It's all good." And then I texted him after. I go, "But I will say I'm a little uncomfortable that I'm texting you about your nose hair or your ball hair." Because, but I will tell you though, after seeing the podcast and after seeing his video earlier about Aljo, nobody needs a haircut, beard trim. God only knows what's going on down there than Raymond Peter Longo. He looks like he looks like someone who has not been dealing with this pandemic really well. You look clean cut as shit. Your fucking eyebrows look like they're on fucking fleek. This dude looks like he's been living in a bunker since 1902. He needs help.
We need to send him at least 2 lawnmower 3.0s because I think he's going to break. I mean, these things are unbreakable, but just in case, these things might snap. Ray Longo, I don't know.
I got him what's called the perfect package. It's the shampoo. It's the lotion.
He needs all of it.
Can you? We need Cody to get a GoPro on him when he opens this package. What the fuck am I doing? What is this sand dusty lotion?
What am I supposed to do with this, Sarah?
How do you apply the foot lotion on my balls? I don't get it. He's going to be the happiest person, but I'm not going to listen. I don't want to tell him this. I want to see what happens. Is he going to use the lawnmower on his fucking face? You know he's going to.
I want you to put the lawnmower right through his fucking chest. That's what I want you to do.
After you shave his balls, I want you to shave his face with it and not tell him or his mother which one you use first. It's going to be amazing. I feel bad. We're like ignoring questions talking about Ray's fucking taint. This is terrible. All right, let's get to a couple of questions. I promise I'll let you go. Let's see. I know, this is so fun. See, you should want to do these more. I'm funny, kind of.
I know. I missed these.
There you go. All right, so someone said Spencer needs to try and clinch. We spoke about that. I agree. Someone asked what they thought you believed fight of their night was. Cody, our video producer and marketing specialist, is saying he thinks Formiga Perez is going to be fight of the night.
I think that's a good one. Honestly, I think I think it's going to be Aljo and
Sandhagen.
And Sandhagen, dude. I love that fight. I like technical guys. Both those guys are very unique, super technical fighters, smart dudes. For me, that's going to be a great fight. So I agree.
One. Oh, yeah. We got a great question here. I'm glad Burke. I don't know your first name. S. Burke. Do you like Bird over, as John would say, I'm going to do the accent, Coconut Bombs Patolo? I like Bird in this fight. I know you mentioned that also when we did our quick picks.
I like Bird as well. I think that, listen, I think he's the better striker. I think both those guys aren't going to really want to go to the ground.
At all.
Yeah, at all. That's not their strength. But I think Bird's going to be a little bit more powerful, on the feet. I think he probably lands the heavier shot. So we'll see. I
agree. And then the one of the other fights, worst Boston accent I've ever heard, kid. Fuck you. Bro, listen. It's been hard trying to get rid of this New York accent because apparently in Florida it's very intimidating here. When you when I used to call selling Florida Panther season tickets, they're like, "Oh, you're from New York?" I was like, "Yeah." Don't sell us on the worst team in playoff history. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Sorry, But the other fight, which is interesting, Ian Heinish versus Gerald GM3. Yes. Bro, that shit was weird. I honestly thought that Heinish was out because I love this kid Ivy at plus 240. Right. And then Cody shadowed my parade a little bit and told me that Heinish was back in. Right. I know you picked Gerald here. I'm going Heinish. I think the more athletic guy gets it done in this fight, and I think Gerald just gets hit way too much.
Heinish is tough. He's a tough guy to put away. I think he's one of those guys really good at grinding out wins. But I think Meerschaert's the more technical guy. I think he might be a little bit bigger, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I like Mearshart. I think he's got a little bit of momentum now. I think he's going to get some more confidence in this fight. If Heinish can turn this into a wrestling match and avoid those submissions, I think he could win. But I like Mearshart. I think he finds a way to get it done by a finish, most likely by submission, but who knows?
All right, support for the Anik and Florian podcast comes from the official electric razor of UFC, Manscaped. Have you ever had an awkward moment where you had to grapple with someone who had like a full bush coming out of their singlet? Well, thankfully, Manscaped has everything you need to keep your package nice and tidy. Manscaped truly is the best in men's below-the-belt grooming, and their top-notch ball trimmer that I use multiple times a month, called the Lawnmower 3.0, will keep you clean without nicks and cuts. Manscaped has also partnered up recently with top-tier MMA athletes like Max Holloway, Francis Ngannou, Brian T. City Ortega, and many others who understand that hygiene matters, and they also know what it takes to be the best. Well, so does this revolutionary company, Manscaped. They just redesigned the Lawnmower 3.0. It features a great ceramic blade, proprietary advanced skin-safe technology. No accidents for me with this thing ever, at least 6 or 8 months in, and we want our great listeners and viewers to get in on the action, and we don't want you using the same trimmer on your face that you're using on your balls. To that end, to help you get there and get 20% off with free shipping, go to manscaped.com and use the code AF. That is manscaped.com, code AF. Thank you, Manscaped, for supporting mixed martial artists and the sport worldwide.